Yep, we'll have to wait and see. OMG on the blue side with OMG on the blue side with RNG on the red. Olaf, Akali, Camille banned by OMG with Twisted Fate, Zoe, and Pantheon banned by RNG. So now, Bright, what do you want to do into this kind of first pick priority? Where do you want to go if you're OMG?
You could go with Kai'Sa for Eric. I mentioned before that Kai'Sa and Jhin were kind of the two picks for Eric that looked really good. It's just incredibly safe blind. I think it's just the best AD carry right now, and it's a completely fine blind pick. On the side of RNG, you could go with something like an Orianna early, just because you could send it mid, or you could have Xiaohu play that top. That is weirdly a flex pick for RNG. You could also prioritize something in the jungle. Exactly. You could go with something like the Nidalee in the jungle as well for Wei. You could even go for an early Taliyah if you want to play for that style. They are actually going to go for a Thresh as their first pick, which is pretty weird. We've seen a lot of later support picks, but also we've seen a lot of other supports be the priority. So I'm thinking maybe they go for Aphelios alongside this. Obviously, Kai'Sa's already locked in, so they don't need to pick Aphelios right now. They can go for the Nidalee that I was talking about before. But on the second rotation here, when it's Cryan's turn to pick, I expect them to lock in an Aphelios here.
Yep, we might see them go for that one there, but OMG find themselves an opportunity to go for the Taliyah and might as well just lock in that Renekton. They're saying, all right, RNG, you want to try and get Xiaohu ahead? We might just try and make that a living hell for you, because it is one of the most potent top lane jungle duos that you can have in the game.
Yeah, this is exceptionally strong. Bright is going to be able to play the Renekton here and just pretty much... I mean, we'll see what Xiaohu goes for in the top side. You can play something very tanky and just try and survive this, but if Aki does focus on trying to get Bright ahead, like you say, incredibly potent 2v2, Renekton can set up Taliyah to get a kill, and then he can snowball through the jungle. It's going to be an Alistar band away on the side of RNG, and Leona as well, so just removing the hard engage. The Aphelios we talked about obviously locked in. And now OMG... The Lucian ban is actually aimed at Cryan. We saw Cryan play this Lucian already. And then the Jace. Well, I guess actually the Lucian could be aimed at Xiaohu as well, realistically, because let's be honest, we're expecting Xiaohu to be playing kind of a somewhat mid lane champion pool on the top side anyway. So now towards, I mean, again, this Orianna, if they did lock that in, that would essentially be like a potential flex that could go mid or could go top. But they're going to go with the Gnar. They're sticking Xiaohu on top laners for now.
Yep, I like this as well. You're still keeping your counter pick for Cryan. You've got Xiaohu going on to something that is a more traditional tank and does well enough into the Renekton. You just got to play a little bit more respectfully. And your bot lane is fairly safe. You know, Gala and Ming should not really have any issues with the Kai'Sa and potentially the set if it's locked in here, as they have so much safety with that Dark Passage, with the Flay, and also decent, you know, reliable enough engage with the hook.
Yeah, you've got the hard engage there that Cold can use so beautifully. This is actually, I actually quite like this composition from OMG. When you look at what it wants to do, it wants to get in and brawl, right? You've got a Renekton, you've got a set that can be your ways of starting fights. If Renekton can find a flank, set obviously plenty of avenues to hard engage. You've got a Taliyah that can slide in from wherever, wall off, so you force the enemy into fighting you. And then you've got a Kai'Sa that can follow up on whatever happens. With a Rumble here for the mid lane, I think that's a perfect addition here. You're going to have lots of push priority, so Woomin can just shove out that mid lane, get down towards the bot side and try and set up Eric, get up towards the top side alongside Aki, and set up Bright as well. So lots of avenues here, and a really great teamfight composition from OMG.
I completely agree, and I feel like with, you know, the Renekton and the Rumble, it is interchangeable between the top and the mid, so you can choose whichever one you want to go for depending on what RNG lock in, which is going to be that Orianna. So right now, looking at the two compositions, I feel like OMG have a lot more potential just to be able to kind of close in on top of everybody on top in terms of RNG and just DPS them out of this game.
Yeah, it will depend how things go, certainly in the early laning phase. It's possible that that's Renekton mid.
Yep, I told him. You can interchange it.
Yeah, you could. It could be Rumble top here, and Wooming taking a Renekton mid, which definitely changes things up. It changes where Aki's focus will be in the early game. Certainly, when we get a little bit later on into the game, we're looking at pretty much two team fighting compositions. They're different styles of team fight, but ultimately they want a brawl. They want a 5v5. So we could have some actually really exciting team fights where RNG want a more standard front to back, whereas OMG very much want to dive on in and just jump onto the carries, try and blow people up. So this actually could be a very exciting game once we get beyond sort of the 15-minute mark. Champions like Aphelios, though, will need a couple of items before they realistically want to fight.
Aphelios, generally speaking, would like to get his 3 items and then can bring back the 200 years of experience and knowledge that he is always so well known for. But will he be allowed to get to that point? The early game aggression from OMG, when you have things like the Rumble, the Renekton, and the Taliyah, like you mentioned, it's just so crazy powerful that OMG might not let RNG get to that point.
Yeah, I hope that we get to see a really proactive early game here from OMG. You've got the Taliyah, you have a mid lane that you can snowball through. You also have Cold, who can set up a Taliyah gang so beautifully. Whether or not they could be proactive enough and whether or not Wei is going to be able to stop that happening, that's the question on everyone's lips.
Well, we'll have to wait and see how it all goes. But ladies and gentlemen, we are on to the riff for game 1 of this best of 3. Second series of the day, OMG versus RNG. A couple of old school LPL orgs battling it out. One riding high, one very much sitting low. And they both want to try and get a win today.
Yeah, and I do want to point out that we're seeing Bright play today as well instead of New. We did see New last time they played, if I'm not mistaken. And when we thought about New, it was things like the Wukong really stood out to me, and the Ornn, like these team fighting top laners with the big impact CC ultimates. Whereas now we're seeing Bright step in and they immediately change styles entirely. And in fact, Bright is going to play the Rumble mid and Wooming's going top. This is not how I anticipated this to go around. I mean, I don't mind the Renekton going top. It is a fairly rough matchup into the Gnar, but I'm surprised that they've changed pilots like this and that it's Wooming going to the top lane.
Either way, I feel like Wooming knows he's going up against a mid laner, so it doesn't actually make that huge of a difference for him in the grand scheme of things. But yeah, I do agree it is interesting to see that Bright going towards that mid lane, Wooming going towards the top, because it's something we've talked about quite a lot. And while there was, I'm going to have to stop that flash in with the face breaker. Gala just trying to keep himself at safe distance away from Cold. Very, very aggressive start here from OMG's bot side, but Gala keeping his cool, keeps his flash.
Yep, he's going to be all right on that one. And that was both summoners used by Cold there. It was in exchange for the cleanse and the exhaust. Another engage.
Yeah, he does have the face breaker, and that's going to be first blood. Fantastically set up here by the side of OMG. And this bot lane is going very, very well for them all of a sudden.
Man, what did we say before this game when we were talking about what could go well for OMG? It was that Cold is exceptionally good on these hard engaged supports, and that Eric, if he's on one of these champions that he's looked good on, like the Kai'Sa, that he can pop off. Suddenly, we're finding 2v2 kills out of this OMG bot lane. Cold is the player on this roster that I was most excited for, and I'm very happy to see that he's excited to be playing too.
Getting that early kill onto the set as well just helps him build up exactly what he wants. Gets those early boots, gets those brown bags on his feet. Now he's able to see if he can look around the map, try find opportunities where, as I said, like the RNG Ming will not have, because he is not able to leave this bot side. He's still only level 2.
Yep, and Wei is going to be able to grab this bot side scuttle, because obviously we saw Aki is up on the top half of the map right now. Xiaohu going to be shoved underneath this tower. And Xiaohu does have to play this very respectfully, especially when he knows Aki's top side, because even if you can get priority on this Gnar... Oh, hang on. I'm going to stop talking about priority. He's going to get dived right here.
He is agreeing with you, though, as he wants to try and just back himself away. The flick back, not quite used yet. Seismic Sword is still available. Just barely misses Xiaohu on the back end of that. So Xiaohu doesn't lose any summoners, but he will lose a fair bit of CS up in this top side. I actually think if he TPs in, it could be a death sentence for him, as Aki is still waiting around.
Yeah, that'll be the question if he commits this teleport. At very least, they'll get the Krugs off the back of this one. Wei now trying to punish. He should be able to trade Krugs on the bottom side of the map. I don't see the same dive potential here. It kind of relies on Ming landing a hook onto someone. But it's possible if OMG disrespect it, and it looks like OMG are going to back away from the top side as well. Especially with Xiaohu getting close to Mega Knot, it becomes a little bit dicey to try and dive when he's on full HP.
A trade of Krugs, a little bit of pressure up on the top side, and a 400 gold lead. So pretty much just the first blood gold for OMG is the advantage as of right now. Mooming, just picking up some more, standard items, getting himself a cloth armor and some boots. These are nice little things to have in the early game, and they're also nice to see them pushing those advantages, knowing that they have that pressure and that priority in that top side, knowing the champions they have.
Yeah, and one thing I want to point out as well is Wooming opting to not teleport to this top lane. We just saw Xiaohu teleport back to the top lane a minute ago there. So he can either choose to use that proactively and try and make a play towards the bot side or something along those lines. But in the mid lane, Cryan's in trouble, flashes out. But I want to see what Wooming does with this TP, whether he just uses it to find himself a CS advantage and have an opportunity to get back to lane when Xiaohu's forced out, or if he tries to influence somewhere else on the map.
Aki is being very, very proactive in this early game on the Talia, keeping up in farm, able to get multiple, kind of ganks off at the top and the mid lane. Just very, very well done overall. And I gotta say, I'm pretty damn impressed with him so far in this early game.
Yeah, and this is what we talked about as well, that Aki has to be the one that sets the pace of this game. OMG realistically want to be getting themselves a lead early. You're against things like an Orianna and a Felios. These are exceptional carries, especially, they don't really fall off. They're going to scale really, really well throughout. Gala just about steps out of range here.
Oh, they are going to be able to keep going. They have got the chakras going. And Wei is here, so Aki cannot really go in for a full 3v2 as it would have been a 3v3. And you definitely favor RNG in that skirmish as things stand. So everyone backs away, Wave gets pushed in, and that should be a little bit of an easy back now for any kind of, RNG bot laner, because they don't really need to do anything now. They can just go back if they want to, or they can just keep farming. They've got the pick of the litter.
Yeah, this dragon is up on the map. Aki moving over as Cold just sidesteps the hook. That was a little close, but realistically for OMG, if anyone's going to get hooked, you want it to be Cold. He's pretty tanky on the set, but they're going to be able to back away. You could see Cryan was moving over as well. In the meantime, you get Bright in the mid lane, gets to shove this wave in, so bit of priority will be grabbed for OMG. And you can also see that Wooming has moved all the way down here.
Oh, Wooming is all the way in mid lane, but what's happening in the bot lane is a little bit more urgent as RNG get themselves a hook onto Cold. Does not get to use his face breaker, so he's just going to take a huge chunk of health bar off of him. Nidalee is down there. You can see on the minimap, Nidalee is down there waiting to see if someone does go a little bit too ham. Cold has got his flash available, and I feel like RNG are aware of that. They know that Cold might just go for a flash engage.
This is going to be a dive right here. The flash flay available for Ming. And as soon as that death sentence... oh, no.
Between the sticks. 3 points.
Oh, no.
Oh, that's not good. But they will continue the pressure. They have got that mini wave pop up. Ooh, land the hook and into the spear. Puts Eric down to just below half HP. And the plate goes down. So you'll take that.
Imagine if Moonlight Vigil was up.
Oh,
Imagine what it could have looked like.
Xiaohu, nice little sidestep to try and get away from the seismic shove. Does have to expend his flash, but with the Weaver's Wall being used up in top side, it does mean that Wei now he is totally safe to be able to gain priority over this dragon, as both mid and bot are in his team's favor. So right now, you got to be feeling pretty good. Ming, not able to land the hook onto Eric, and that was close.
Yeah, Eric with thoroughly clenched butt cheeks in that one, but he gets away. He's going to be all right. Didn't have to use a summoner, so ultimately, OMG losing out on the dragon, not the end of the world, and they're going to be able to get their Herald for themselves. So Aki now gets to decide which lane he actually wants to start to snowball. You could try and focus on this top side. He has consistently gone up towards this top side to try and punish Xiaohu. It has not worked, though. Xiaohu's been able to avoid these ganks. He's only just used his flash. That was the first time he's flashed all game as well, despite that being, I think, 3 attempts by Aki on the top side. So I wouldn't be too averse to Aki instead moving down to the bottom side with this Herald and trying to get some gold onto Eric and trying to get this Kai'Sa accelerated.
See where he wants to go with it. Cold is here, try to find a Scuttle Crab is going to find nothing but a Cougar throwing spears at him. And I like this movement from Cold. Has got himself the upgraded Mercury, Mercury Treads. He's going to be able to have a little bit extra movement speed, trying to find any kind of potential, outnumbered fight or skirmish. And Set, especially with level 6, is so powerful in those early levels because he just has so many ways of entering a fight and starting it off for his team.
Yeah, there's certainly plenty of avenues to start fights for OMG. You could see Aki was on the bot side. I would have loved for him to try and sneak into that bot lane. There was a ward though, so he would have been spotted had he tried to go for that avenue. And I will say, while this is a very slow early game, and I'm sure there are people spamming Resident Sleepers in chat and whatever, like, this is pretty much what I expected, because as we said coming out of Champ Select, it was OMG that have the onus to make things happen in the early game. They really have not been the most proactive team, not even just this year, like last year as well. When you think about OMG, it was not the... Like, Hacker was fairly proactive, and usually it would be around Curse, but they weren't able to make that much happen. Now we get to see it. Here's a set piece coming out from them. They're moving towards the top side. They have the Herald to work with. They have an Equalizer to set up a dive. Xiaohu has to get out of here or he will guaranteed go down.
Yeah, you just got to give up the tower at that stage. However, Cold might have to give up his, at least a decent chunk of his health bar with a great hook there from Ming. And with the Rift Herald available, I feel like this is the right call from Xiaohu. You back away, you don't give them over another piece of gold, you just let them take the turret, because guess what? They're going to take it anyway. Just don't give them over too much, and yeah, you'll lose a little bit, but overall, you're not giving over as much as you need to.
Yep, so still focusing on getting ahead. Here we go, find the bot side.
Great face breaker, though, on top of all three members. It stuns them up underneath the tower, and Wooming is here. They're trying to use the Moonlight Vigil to try and disengage. Eric has the flash, keeps himself alive. A decisive call from OMG as Gala can only just scrape at the hide that is Wooming's Renekton, and that was just decisive, perfect execution there from OMG.
Yeah, what a punish from OMG. This is what I was talking about before. Xiaohu's teleport is just about to come off of cooldown. It wasn't available during that fight. They make the play towards the top side for the plates. They get Wooming a chunk of gold, and they're like, now they feel bad that they didn't give that gold over to Eric. So let's TP down to the bot side and gift Eric a kill or two as well. Really nicely done by Wooming. We talked about him being a team player from the mid lane. Apparently, he goes way further than that. Apparently, he's a team player in the top lane as well. The TP was beautiful, and this engage from Cold. We said Cold is a god on these hard engage supports. I didn't realize it was like 3-man facebreaker every time kind of god in the support role, you know? Like, Cold looking absolutely amazing.
Very solid engage there, and that's the thing that we just mentioned there, why we saw Cold roaming up towards that mid lane with the, showstopper. It's the angles you give yourself, the potential outplays you're able to create is just insane, and great call by Wooming to get himself in position with the teleport as well. They knew that they had an advantage in the top side. There was no way in hell that Xiaohu could really, respond to that without missing a huge amount of minions. Great plays all around.
Yeah, really, really good stuff from OMG, and I was starting to get a little bit worried for them because, as we'd said, they need to be proactive and they need to find themselves a bit of a lead using this Talia in the lanes, get some Dark Harvest stacks and get the ball rolling. The Talia really hasn't been the driving factor for them so far, but the Herald set them up with a bunch of gold. They got a bonus charge on the top side, as you can see there. But now playing towards Eric, setting him up as well. They have multiple carries on this map that can be the focus.
Ooh, hook lands, and they have got the red carpet going down as well. Gala has nowhere to go with no summoners, and this is the thing we talked about in pick ban, is that if you can just catch people out, if you can make sure that they can't go anywhere, caress them in so they have nowhere to go, there's no response on the side of RNG. They have nowhere to kind of take this, team fight, and I feel like right now they just have to give up this dragon. There's nowhere else they can really contest. They can maybe look for a steal. They have got the shockwave available, but it's very risky.
Yeah, I mean, this is 4v5 without an AD carry. I don't know if this is a fight they can take. However, ults are on cooldown for OMG.
Oh, Cold just have to go down in for the sins of his team, and a shockwave lands onto Eric, and he will also fall. So they gain a dragon on the side of OMG, but 2 quick kills for RNG. They will not let this game go down without a fight.
Certainly not. Well played by RNG to at least punish something. They don't get the dragon, obviously, but realistically, they shouldn't get the dragon. So good that they managed to grab themselves a couple of kills. They also will get this bot tower in the pocket of Xiaohu. Obviously, plate's already gone, but still good to get that bit of extra gold. And a little bit more map presence on the bottom side of the map. So RNG doing a really good job to actually equalize. Off the back of all of this, RNG have actually closed the gold gap.
Yeah, and we can see the fight just starting off here. I feel like Cold and Eric were just left to die. Eventually, they were in the dragon pit. There was no real, as you said, cooldowns on ultimates for the side of OMG. They had to just let their bot lane duo take the hit for them. They stop the dragon stacking, and they do end up having the gold equaled out. There is the Hex Flash. Gala is going to be caught out. They will land the hook down on top of Eric and exhaust him, but there's still a Talia there. Aki is here and ready to play. Eric, however, needs to be so careful with a rampaging Xiaohu coming back into that lane, but he is still very safe. And Cold on this set has just been immaculate. Have to give him full props for this game so far.
Yeah, Cold looks great. And Gala does not get to play. When you're playing Aphelios against Set, when Aphelios wants to run at you, you just go, okay, I accept my fate. This is just the way it has to be. This is why they picked the Thresh, so that Ming can give him some mobility with the Lantern. That has not been the case at all. Ming is looking for engages. Because of the way this draft has gone, Ming finding a hook is one of the primary engage tools for the side of RNG, which means he can't be in position to use that Lantern defensively and protect Gala. So really well played by Cold to find these windows. RNG actually pushed the mid lane while Aki is trying to just grab the Herald. Wei wants to contest though.
Wei should be able to get himself out of this without any real trouble, but what all that time and resources put into that Rift Herald from the side of OMG, it means that they lost a sizable chunk of HP on this mid tower. They also have Xiaohu pushing down onto the bot side. Bright has got the equalizer. We'll just use it to clear out the minions. They knew that if they had let that wave up as long as possible, they would have lost most likely that tier 1.
Yeah, I do want to take a second here and look across the scoreboard, because there is a couple of issues here for OMG. Even though, you know, they got some kills themselves, they are dead even in gold right now. They haven't really accelerated the game quite as much as they would have liked to. And in a second here, I want to look at the mid lane, because look at that difference between our two mid laners right now. Cryan has 2 kills. He's 50 CS up. He's almost finished his second item, while Bright on this Rumble, he's only got 1 item to work with. He's only got that Night Harvester. He's just recalled, and all he got was an Amp Tome. Like, there is a sizable difference in the player gold. In fact, there's player gold on the left of my screen now, and you can see the difference there. Bright is on 5,500. Cryan is like 2,000 gold ahead of him individually. That is a monumental difference.
CS differential definitely coming to bite OMG in the butt a little bit, as we have the Leandries picked up here by Wei onto this Nidalee Gore Drinker for Xiaohu's Gnar, and the Kraken Slayer for Gala's Aphelios, with Dragon spawning in just over a minute. Big 1-item spikes for a lot of the sides. You can see a lot of mythics being finished up. Leandries for both junglers. Both got their High Noon Quiver mythics as well for the AD carries. I feel like it's all going to be down to Cold. And oh, as I say that, Cold has to go in. He's trying to find out Wei or Ming, but he ends up ulting them the wrong way. The fillet comes down. They will actually get the kill. It looked like he might have scuffed it, but it's a little early for that dragon. Ming should be up and available for this fight.
Yeah, but they can drop the Herald in the mid lane. They can get vision control in the river, which is the most important thing. Without Ming there, it becomes very difficult for OMG to check into this river. Xiaohu can only do it while he's Mega. Eric got absolutely destroyed by Cryan.
That is a wasted Rift Herald, so again, yes, great pick, you get the gold, but the dragon spawning in 20 seconds. You can see Ming coming from base, will have flash available to him. Cold does not have flash, nor does he have the showstopper. It just felt like they pulled the trigger just a little too early on that play. I feel like they could have waited until now, and it would have given them far much more advantages in this potential fight. Now they lose the mid lane, and they probably lose the dragon as well.
Yeah, and that mid lane turret off of the back of the shockwave we saw coming out from Cryan pretty much removed Eric from the play entirely. Look at this though, Wooming and Aki wanting to make the play happen.
Oh, Cryan tried to take the honey fruit to get a little bit of CS or a little bit of mana back. Xiaohu jumps in and Wooming is dead. They almost get a perfect equalizer, but there's no one really to follow up on top of this. Cold has to use the face break to keep himself alive. The Moonlight Vigil goes completely wide. There are low health bars on RNG. The flash, though, from Aki means he is able to keep threading those rocks out and about. They are going to try and jump in with Eric, who does get the kill, but they trade it back overall, and there'll be a shutdown onto Cryan. Aki on this Talia, keeping the fight alive, and OMG do get their fight.
Aki is here to play. What a team fight performance coming out from him. Beautifully done. Goes so aggressive in the midst of the team fight, but has the Zhonya's to keep himself alive. Health bars get low, and then he's able to flash after the kills. Following up on Eric, who went and traded lives with Gala. But that's a positive trade, because Aki can then follow up, find another kill off the back of it. Importantly, they forced RNG away and they grabbed themselves that Drake. They've also now snagged themselves a small gold lead as well off the back of it. Cold, once again, fantastic engage. His Haymaker hit the entire team for RNG. He got so much value out of that double.
Yeah, and you can see here, it looks like a bit of an overextension from Wooming. The equalizer comes down, they all back away from it, but they just overcommit to Cold, using the Narv ultimate as well. It just feels like it just wasn't really necessary. You need to keep that big, your kind of only real engage on top of the carries of OMG, and that just left them free to do whatever the hell they pleased.
Yeah, Aki able to clean up as well, and you know, in amidst all of this chaos, we've been talking about the mid lane difference, but look at that jungle difference as well. 40 CS, 4-0 and 3, already 2 items on Aki, with an Oblivion Orb on top of it as well. Aki is getting to the point now where he realistically can be the focus for OMG. He can be the carry in these fights, and Talia does an excellent job when you're trying to find picks. And so far, when you think about how OMG have been playing this game, it has been pick focused, like finding the pick in on Ming in the river, finding picks in the laning phase as well. I'm excited to see if OMG can actually keep this snowball rolling, because they do have a gold lead. They're certainly in a fine position when it comes to their composition. Bright has been doing really well with these equalizers as well. I loved the combo we saw in the bot side earlier on when they got the kill on Gala, where the Talia wall just blocks them off. They stand there, they're like, you can either come into us, or we can lay this little row of fire along the side of the Talia wall. And you just build a little barbecue for yourself. You just set up in the bot lane, get some sausages going, chill out, have a beer, and watch Gala burn to a crisp. So if they can set that combo up again, if they can get this whole barbecue situation going, it's going to be a chill old Sunday afternoon.
Now I just want food, man. I just want to have some nice barbecue. It's a little yeah, I know, right? I've literally just started thinking about having like a big old fry up now. Speaking of a big old fry up, we could see a massive fry up coming into this mid lane, or sorry, this Baron pit. If they try and lay down the ultimates, the Baron down to about 3,000 HP. It will be procced again if they aren't able to stay on it. There is a pink ward on the back side, so there is potential for a steal for Wei. If he's able to get into the pit, he does get in. There is no steal. Committed and secured by OMG. Cole just going to sacrifice his life for the betterment of his team, but they found Aki, and that is 2 quick kills back for RNG. They don't steal the Baron, but they do diminish its returns.
Yeah, I don't know about this. So OMG, I like the Baron play. The equalizer is going to clear the wave here, so RNG will be able to finish this 1 tower, but they can't push for any more. The picks at the end of that, I really don't think Cold even needed to sacrifice himself. He had flash available. I'm pretty sure he could have just escaped there. Aki certainly didn't need to follow up and try and rejoin in the fight. They're just giving extra gold over to the side of RNG. Look at the carries on RNG right now. Gala and Cryan both starting to stack up those items, both with a bounty here. Let's bear in mind what the win condition was that we set up for RNG way earlier on, was that this Aphelios and this Orianna, when they get to 3 items and more, they're going to be terrors in the team fights. Wei has overstayed, though.
Wei! Nah, that's no. I don't accept that. That's not okay. Just so disappointing.
Just insanely greedy. Just insanely greedy. There's no need. That just now means that OMG are going to have complete control of this river when the dragon comes up in a minute's time. Wei's only going to be up when it's on the 40-second timer, so it's going to be very difficult for him and Ming to push into the jungle to try and get vision control, as Cold just tries to defend as much territory as he can. In the meantime, that sets up Wooming to push on the bot side, push this wave as far out as possible, get priority mid, get priority bot, get vision around the Gromp and the blue buff, and they can set themselves up for Soul Point if RNG don't find a way in.
There's a little over 1,000 gold lead for OMG coming up to the 25-minute mark. We have got 2.5 items on to the Aphelios, but like you said, it's all about Cryin. I feel like right now we're looking at 2 carries on both sides. We're looking at Aki on this Talia, who has got 4, 1, and 3 and as the scoreboard and 2.5 items. And we're also looking at Cryin with the shockwaves. Those are going to be the 2 big carries on either side. And if either of them goes down before the fight's even really kicked off, this will be disaster for whoever loses out on their carry.
Really important just before this fight starts, keep your eyes on Cold. If he can find this flank that he's looking for with the Hex Flash, he can turn this around.
He has got the regular flash, so he doesn't even need to use the Hex. He tries to go in, use the facebreaker. They do line down the red carpet. As you say, the barbecue is now cooking nicely there as the crocodile jumps in. It's an Australian barbecue as OMG now have to try and turn tail. They are trading 1-for-1 top laner for top laner. They get the dragon. They're now on the Mountain Soul Point. The shockwave lands. That's Aphelios with a double kill. Aki chunked down so much HP. Cryin is trying to go in. You can see the damage being thrown in from both these AP carries. They do not get the seismic shove. They're going to see if they can get Gala in on top of this. There's going to be 2 extra kills here for RNG. There's no way in hell they're going to be able to survive this. They're going to try and give that one over to the carries. They get a triple on top of Gala. 1 for Cryin. Yes, you get the dragon, but at what cost?
Yeah, that... As soon as OMG started chasing RNG into the choke in the jungle, that is Cryin and Gala's wet dream. That is the perfect place for them to fight. You can see Orianna and Aphelios get to just chill all the way at the back. Everybody groups up. This Infernum is just firing on all cylinders. And you can see that the health bars already burnt through. That's basically every cooldown OMG had. Yes, they get the dragon. They get themselves on Soul Point. But now this squad can just chase them down forever. There's very little that OMG can do. They can't just run directly away like they want to because they have to respect what Min can do to close the gap and Wade can jump over the walls. And then they get caught in the alcove. OMG are not alcove gamers. That is clear to me off the back of this play, and they're punished for it.
Now, 3 items onto the Aphelios, 3.5 onto the Orianna. This is where the team fights start to lean a lot more towards RNG. Wooming on this Renekton. Yes, he's big. Yes, he's got 2.5 items, but he will start to fall off. And for RNG, or for OMG, the only kind of silver lining as such for the longer this game goes on is that there's very little reliable engage for the side of RNG. They need to get Xiaohu on top of carries with the Gnar ultimate, or they need to just try and catch someone with the hook. It's not really the most reliable, and that's kind of what they're playing around right now.
So, importantly, Soul Point exists, right? So, there's that. That's the golden egg for OMG here. And hey, we're getting some exciting team fights. So, you know, I'm down. And OMG already, let's just take a moment here and just appreciate that they are doing better than what the expectation should have.
Yeah.
OMG, very low in the standings right now. They're up against RNG, who have not lost a series just yet this split. Really, really convincing performance coming out from OMG, and the fact that they are being competitive and showing that they can team fight and showing that they can find these picks and snowball the early game a little bit is a positive look. Cold especially, I think the player that we have to compliment the most on this OMG squad right now. However, it does feel like as we're getting towards the mid and late game, they're starting to run out of momentum and starting to not really be sure how to force these fights. It felt like Cold sort of ham-fisted the engage a little bit, just ran into the jungle, and if he'd found a flank and showstoppered someone into the team, fantastic. But he kind of just ran at the front door, which is exactly how RNG wants to fight you. They would love to fight front to back. They've got a massive Gnar that can sit on the front line. Anyone that mispositions Min can just pull back into the fold, and then Gala and Cryin can just fire on all cylinders. You've got a Nidalee for sustaining those fights as well. RNG now just going to start off the Baron because they've got complete vision control, and they are trying to force OMG into this fight.
Oh, that QW combo with the shockwave. They are going to try to put down the equalizer. That is burning, ticking down and away. They are going to trade 2-for-1 overall in favor of RNG, but OMG will finally crack open this middle tier 1 turret. And they gain themselves a little bit of footing. There are still teleports for both top laners. They can still join either fights.
That was so incredibly close to being so much worse for OMG. Xiaohu tried to bounce into the fight and gnaw the entire squad from OMG, but mid-bounce, Cold intercepts him with the shoulder charge and throws him back into the team of RNG. That was as close to disaster as it could have been for OMG. The fact that they trade 2 for 1 there is honestly a miracle for them.
Yeah, you can see here, it's exactly what you're saying. You see Xiaohu just about to go Mega, gets it, and just gets brought back immediately. As you say, that literally saves the fight. Great equalizer, does stop the rest of RNG from pushing on aggressively. It has to force them back. So again, great combination of the ultimates. They should have them back before either this Dragon or Baron fight plays out. But for RNG, it's starting to feel like the writing's on the wall for you in the sense of you're starting to win these fights. This OMG need to find out a pick, they need to find you out of position, and they need to find a mistake.
Yeah, and you know, I keep on just looking at the scoreboard and getting more and more worried for OMG, because just look at Cryan's score, look at Gala's score, look at the items that they've got. Cryan's on 4 items at this point. He's got a death cap. Same can be said for Gala with his Infinity Edge coming through. Woomin getting caught is not a good way to start this fight for OMG.
Ooh, Cole goes in. He does have the throw stopper as to start it all off. They do drop the equalizer. The Weaver's Wall has to drop down. Low health bars, but you can see the damage just isn't there. Xiaohu and Ming are still very, very healthy. They tanked that entire fight effectively. And now with no real big ultimates, no real big engage, what are you going to do on the side of OMG? You have to find an avenue back into the top of this, but Wooming is just too low. He can't stay. That's dragging over to RNG, and this is a problem for OMG.
Very nicely done by RNG, and once Aki had to use his flash in the fight, the dream of stealing that dragon away was kind of a distant memory at that point. Eric really struggling as well to find his way into these fights at all. Because of the way these fights are set up, all Eric can do is just pepper a couple of shots towards Xiaohu, but if he steps too close to Xiaohu, he's just going to get Nar-ulted into a wall and taken down by Cryan Shockwave. So it's very, very difficult for OMG to really function in these actual formal 5v5 team fights. RNG can now just sit on this Baron. If OMG comes too close, they'll fight. If not, they'll just take the Baron.
They have to go for an equalizer down. They're going to try and steal it. Oh!
What?
Stolen! OMG, get it! The shockwave just hit nothing, and they're going to try and take this fight as well. They are caught in the back of this pit. You can see Bright going in with the flame spitter, trying his very, very best, but Cryan is still alive. Wooming did TP on the backside. They just keep going. They're going to keep trying to get on top of him, but Wooming has not got the damage. It is not going to be enough, but Cryan is going to pentakill OMG after a fantastic steal.
What a team fight coming out there. That was real close to going OMG's way, but they didn't have any cooldowns. They just didn't quite have enough to make it happen. Cryan the entire time was just... I mean, he didn't even have Shockwave. He didn't even need Shockwave. He was just knocking his ball around the pit. He was basically playing pinball. Pinball, that's the one. He's just playing pinball with the enemy team in the pit. Sure, the steal goes the way of Eric, but it doesn't matter because that mid inhib is going to go down.
Oh my god, it went down to 2 HP.
Oh.
2 HP. That is unfortunate, but this is the kind of fight afterwards. This feels like it should be OMG, but Cryan is just so damn good on this Orianna.
Yeah, and the thing is, they kind of went in one by one. Like, Eric, I think, off the back of the steal, got a little too high fee, dives into the back of the pit, and then suddenly realizes, hang on, none of my team is here yet. Forced to go into his stopwatch just to buy a couple of seconds, but wasn't able to find the kills he was looking for. I think he was under the impression his Q would do a little bit more. He'd be able to just finish those 2 low health bars immediately and go from there. Didn't happen. And you saw Wooming arriving late to the party. So if Eric had just held off on that ult a little bit longer, if they just played it a tiny bit slower, I actually think OMG could have won that fight, and it could have been a very different story. Because they're going one by one, Cryan is there like, you want to give me 5? Yeah, I'll take 5 kills. Why not? That sounds good.
And he is now full build, no room to move realistically. Yes, he could sell his boots, but that's not generally something we see. again and again, I'm more and more scared for OMG, but I have to be so damn impressed by RNG. Yes, you lose the Baron, and you're caught in the back of a pit with so much AoE ultimates and AoE damage just being sprayed into you, and you still come out with it 5 for 2, take the kills. Cryin is just a monster now. I don't think there's anyone who could really go against him. He has over 100 CS against his laning opponents, which it's just insane to me.
Yeah, he is unbelievably huge. Cryin is at full build, so he's tearing through people when these fights happen. Xiaohu's about to turn mega, but OMG respect it and just lose the tower here. The mid inhib didn't actually go down. It was just the mid inhib tower, so no supers pressing into the base right now. I just want to remind everyone as well, this is RNG against OMG. This is just game 1. And regardless of what the standings are right now in Spring 2021, when you think historically between these two orgs, this is such a battle between two of the big international representatives of the LPL. And this is still territory where these two teams can set the precedent of what people should expect from them for the rest of the year.
Completely agree, but right now it is all RNG, and they are the ones dictating the pace. When you have a 6-item Orianna in that mid lane versus a 3.5-item Rumble, it's not bad, but you're just not good. You can't compare to the damage that is just being chucked into your face, and RNG have to be careful of Cold, who's making a little bit of a beeline to try and see if he can catch someone out on the return. They know that Xiaohu's Mega Gnar should be down fairly soon. They catch him with a hook. Flay comes in as well. They're going to jump everybody over the top side, and they get everyone out. No harm, no foul. But 10 seconds until another soul point is available for OMG. Do they just look to give it away and push in mid, or do they look for the fight?
I would have loved to see OMG just commit to mid lane here. Realistically, you don't want to 5v5 this team. It's not going to be a Dragon Soul for RNG. They could have just run straight towards a mid inhib, but they opt out of that one. RNG get the dragon anyway, and now RNG can try and force this fight.
Oh, there's no lantern. Cole goes in with the showstopper to start it all off. There's Eric on the backside trying to see if he can do anything. Equalizer goes down. They are trying to see if they get as much damage down as possible. But the rest of RNG, they're just kiting. They're just keeping everybody away. They do get crying, but you can see Xiaohu finally getting in. It's going to be Gala just keeping himself alive. It's a triple for Gala. He's going to try and go for another one. Do we get a double pentakill in this game? It's a quadra for Gala, and you've got to feel like the writing is on the wall. RNG with 2 potential pentakills. Wuming does not want to give it over. There it is. It eventually goes down. Pentakill for Gala. What a fantastic team fight from RNG.
Yeah, well, we'll have a replay of that fight in a moment, but Gala was able to just chill at the back of the corner. Like, the equalizer looked so good from Bright, but there wasn't enough AoE damage coming out from the rest of the squad. Aki didn't really get to have much of an impact in the fight. You saw Eric use his ult very early on, but didn't really have a massive impact. So Cold goes in, starts the fight, right? Great stuff theoretically. The equalizer is there, Eric is free firing, but Xiaohu just forces him out of the fight completely. Wuming is exhausted, so can't have the impact he wants. And look at Gala at the bottom of the fight. The whole time, he's got Severum, so he's healing himself up, presses Q and just spams his sights out, and then can just swap to the shurikens and just finish people off. Easy, easy fight for RNG, and this is exactly what their composition wants to do. If you give them these 5v5s, where everyone can just protect Gala and Cryin, they are going to win time and time again.
It was an unofficial pentakill. The game did not give it to him, but in my heart, he got it. He got 5 kills in a team fight, and I think that's worth acknowledging overall, because he's had a rough time, but you can see now between himself and Cryin, RNG are just so massive. There's nothing that OMG can do. They threw everything in the kitchen sink. Look at these wards. Look how many there are in that river right now, be it between, you know, Nidalee traps and you know, zombie wards. But I have to stop myself. A 3-man ultimate there from Xiaohu onto this mid side. We do actually see Wei and Gala being peppered down. Cold is dead. They have the GA on top of Xiaohu, and he's got the Dark Passage to keep him alive. It's been a valiant effort. It's been a great attempt, but I just feel like OMG are too far gone. I don't think they can take it to RNG anymore.
I don't think this is going to be doable. With Xiaohu going that deep and still getting out, I feel like that might be the last little ray of hope gone for OMG, as RNG can now just go straight towards the Baron. Weaver's wall goes through, but doesn't really do anything. RNG are just going to stand next to him like, okay, we'll continue the Baron.
Equalizer. They're waiting for the equalizer, which is available, but I don't know if they can really go for it. He tries his very, very best. I respect the attempt, but there's not a lot you can do here. OMG, you have to back away, and with this Baron puff, with this Baron push, all carries on full items, 40 minutes into the game, this has to be the end here for OMG. RNG looking to end this one right now and send us to game 2.
Yeah, incredibly difficult one for OMG here. When you look at the drafts, they couldn't allow it to go this late. They couldn't allow it to be this even the entire time. Needed to find more of a snowball. Really well played by Xiaohu in the early game as well to deny that snowball that Aki was trying to make happen with the Talia.
Ooh, Crying needs to be a little bit careful. Does only land the shockwave onto one and does trade his life for it, but a double kill straight away here for Gala. As triple kill for Gala. He's going to finish off the game very, very nicely. Gets the win there for RNG. However, and I put a big caveat onto this, their composition scaled far better than OMG's, but OMG made that game look very close. A lot closer than probably myself more so than anyone else gave them any way of, of giving them in this game.
Yeah, and this is a similar thing to what we saw with them against EDG, right? When we were looking at the series,